Welcome, Olabade Olugbsean, man. It's another blessing. You know what I'm saying? For the Most High, give praise to the Most High and also the ancestors, also the spiritual team. I know people like, well, the purpose of giving praise to the Most High, ancestors, and spiritual team is because if it wasn't for the Most High giving life to the ancestors and also the spiritual archangels and different type of beings, including our ancestors who actually made it to heaven to become a higher version of themselves on a spiritual level, we wouldn't be here today. You know what I'm saying? So that's why we give praise to that. We don't worship them, but we give praise. We only worship one. Of course, a lot of people like worshiping other different type of things and so forth. So on, each his own. But they'll find out those things doesn't give them fulfillment, internally, because the external presentation and their behavior will actually identify how they feel about life and how they feel about others. And what that means is that when people are not genuine to themselves, they will not, or they will have a struggle being genuine to others because their dictation that others of their experiences with the current people or past people will be a projection that they think that all people that they would encounter will have the same type of behavior and so forth, so on. So this is one of the ways that people lose their blessings and opportunity for the Most High to show them that they can still have a chance and favor, even though the window or the gap is very narrow. That's why when you look at Christianity, rather to say the book, the Bible, they call it, that it said that many people will take the narrow path, and those who take the narrow path, it will be very challenging and difficult because a lot of people won't let go of things, and a lot of people won't change their mindset to actually follow the way that the Most High wanted them or want them to follow. While many people will take the wider path because so many people follow the wider path with many struggles and many different setbacks and so forth, so on. However, I have been one of those individuals who have made that choice before in my life. And because I've actually decided to take the narrow path, as the Most High said, that you have a choice at this particular moment in your life. And I can remember like it was yesterday that either you're going to willingly take this path right here, which is not going to be easy. You're going to go through things that people would not witness, but you will come out as a victor and also be able to tell people your trials and tribulations to actually inspire them to actually take that same path if they choose to. And for those who choose not, they will actually be demolished, demised only by their own demise, not because of my sacrifice upon them, but the sacrifice they make upon themselves, which is their free will to make choices on a day-to-day basis, which direction they shall go or willing to go. And so, with that being said, I'm very grateful for the Most High actually giving me the opportunity versus not giving me no option to take that opportunity to move forward in my life. And what that has done for me, it has put me in a position to speak with authority and know what true authority is versus thinking of that we have been possessed or things have been present to us to make us think that if we don't have X, Y, Z, then we don't have any authority and that we as individuals need to have a group of or many people to support us to know that we have authority. We've been had authority. If we didn't have any authority, then the Most High wouldn't be the Most High. However, it's very important to understand that if we're going in a direction that people are actually misleading and lying and running us in circles, why will we do this? Why will we continue to listen to someone or individuals who running us in circles, or even if we're doing this shit on our own towards others, to listen to the nonsense that continuously to show us nothingness? And so what I'm saying to say is when you decide to make a decision to be a better version of yourself, there will be many people who going to go against this or try to convince you that you're delusional or something's wrong with you or you need to be in a mental health facility to actually fix whatever it is that you truly understand that needs to be fixed, only because you know the things that you've been told been a lie that has not fixed anything. I seen, for example, a person came on the platform when I'm talking about something totally different and said something about me being a Democrat. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I don't have anything to do with any of those nonsense necessary statutes and codes. They're not laws, ladies and gentlemen. The true laws are spiritual laws that they want you to stay away from so you can always be out of sync of truth and be able to not receive what you deserve, which is your inheritance, your birthright, your abundance, your generational wealth. They want you to think a certain way, so therefore you can't free yourself from the nonsense. However, I am the truth teller, and I'm the truth teller for one important reason. If people don't get nothing out of anything that I've said, because truth never lies, and that when you keep looking for truth to be a lie or anything that will actually substitute it from actually being opinion, you will continuously to find that that truth will still remain the truth. If you look at Kevin Hart, for example, if you look at Dave Chappelle, for example, in their skits, they're telling you the truth in a way to be funny, but they're telling you the truth to open up your eyes so therefore you can actually get out of the situation that you're in. You know, a lot of people are waiting on the government to do all these different things. Think about the word government. The word government meaning to govern, and meant means it's meant to be. You already your own government, so why do you need somebody else to actually tell you how to do something when the Most High already gave you free will, a mind, and also the ability, which is limitless and infinite, to actually be able to come to the Most High and get all the wisdom and knowledge that you need to be able to navigate all this bullshit and manipulation and all these damn distractions to keep you from being the best version of yourself. You can't be the best version of yourself. You hang around a bunch of vultures and crows who are always picking the meat off of your body or picking the harvest that you earn and you work hard for. Especially some of you who actually have done a lot of things on your own without anyone's help, whether it's been internal or external, or both, or beyond. Your trials and tribulations is for a reason. It's not for punishment. It's for you to excel and also to get out and tell your truth so you can help somebody else who would struggle or may avoid that struggle by you actually telling it. That's the whole purpose of me getting on this platform, because I've been ordained to do this. They said, well, do you know how many times I've heard people say, pastor, preacher this and preacher that? No disrespect to them, but most of them actually made a contract, which we'll get into that whether it's now or later, about what contracts truly are. That I would never become one of that, because the people that are already in those circumstances are being misled. They're not changing. There isn't no change. And you have someone or multiple individuals repeating the same thing over and over and over and over. But shouts out to the real ones who are in that midst of chaos and destruction and so forth, so on, that actually hinders others for their own gain. Man, people have no clue about the research and the truth that I have seek to actually know the truth. I've taken many notes of the past. However, we got to regurgitate some of these things because these things have not been to the forefront for those who have no conclusion of those things that has happened. But I tell you one important thing, regardless of what anyone think, as an opinion, I don't miss the mark. You may not see it now, but I promise you will see it. Because the number one thing that I know for facts and all truth and honesty and integrity, I will never mislead anyone. Even when I was on the other side, dipping and dabbing, doing all the other shit I shouldn't have been doing, regardless of what it was, I did not mislead anybody unless you was trying to cause harm upon me. And I gotta mislead you, because if I don't, then you will hit your, you see what I'm saying? You'll hit your mark. So with that being said, that's the only time it can happen in this present. But misleading people is a severe consequence, not because I'm aware of it, but because it's not fair for a person to be misled to actually deal with their own demise, or you're creating and causing the demise when the whole time all you had to do is stay in your lane. See, our problem is when we get this discernment or intuition to see things that are actually happening to us or around us, we want to tend to think it can't happen to us, or we want to tend to think that nothing can happen, period. You know how many people that I've met that talk about karma's not real, but you see people getting their shit rocked out here. Even you have experienced, or you also have experienced people that you've been close to paying consequences for that. You see what I'm saying? So it's not an illusion, it's truth. So you got these other people in these different places. And when I say different places, what I mean by this is people who stand in the presence of others saying that they have morals and they speak about integrity and being honest and all that, but they've been so much dishonest that so much history, as well as the presence of us witnessing, is always been lies, will always be until we come together. And before we can come together, you got to come together with yourself. And as you come together with yourself, you're going to come together with the Most High who created you. You're going to respect your ancestors because if your ancestors never lived long enough for you to be birthed, then you wouldn't be here. This is why people be like, maybe wondering, like, why he always talking about the ancestors? Why he's always talking about spirit? Because our ancestors deal with spirits to deal with these type of situations that these people will cause and conjure up these wicked ass spirits to help them conquer us on many different levels in our life, whether it's our finances, whether it's love life, our health, whether it's our mindset, or whether it's people liking us. They would do things which we call it, and we're fully aware of witchcraft. And witchcraft come in many forms, many races. So let's don't get it twisted where people think white people are all white people are bad. It ain't got shit to do with it. Bad is bad. Bad don't discriminate who wants to come into the darkness and cause and create harm upon others. It's proven. Rather, we looking at harming women, children, men, jobs, personalities, characters, business, etc. It's been proven. Whether you look at the news, read the newspaper, or your community, or some form of social media is exposing these truths. You got to remember this as well. Once you see a snake, it's always a snake. It doesn't matter if the snake say, "Okay, I won't sliver or swiver on my back. This time I just move sideways when I do it this time." If you give somebody an opportunity, I don't give a damn if it's your family member. You see what I'm saying? Your family members, if you really reflect, they are the first ones to show you what envy and jealousy and trauma bonding, childhood, or excuse me, child wound harm. I mean, not harm. Excuse me, y'all. Child wound damage and the repetition of confusion, never getting the job done, never having the greatest character and personality because you get to experience what they put out on the forefront in the public to make people think that they this generous, nice person. But you know for a fact they wasn't or isn't because the time that you lacked or you needed, rather it was a conversation, rather it was a hug, rather it was any form of support, they neglected you in every matter. So when you stepped out in your life as an adult or begin to step out in your life as an adult, you realize and this profound projection that other people that you'll meet in your life, you didn't realize you attract those type of people, which is the lesson in order to break a generation curse that has been placed upon you because of the activities and behaviors of your relatives. Now, as you hear this conversation talks about many different things only because there's many different type of energies and many different type of circumstances that many people are dealing with. Because you may not be dealing with it doesn't mean you will not or you cannot or it will not resonate with you because you never know what's going to happen on your day-to-day journey. So don't never knock the message. Don't never knock somebody else's circumstances. Be respectful if you have something to say because I'm not disrespecting anyone. I don't know you personally. And if I knew you personally, I wouldn't publicly disrespect you if I was to disrespect you. Only if you disrespect me. And then again, I may not even say anything because silence is the form of showing you, hey, what you're saying actually is allowing you to not realize, but you will realize because I'm saying it at this point that you actually talking to yourself. You may have a bunch of people like it and so forth, so on, but if a person don't know or have a sense of direction, then of course they're like anything. Think about it. How many times that we fail for shit because we didn't know or had a sense of direction to know the indifference or the difference between the circumstances. And if I'm saying something that you don't understand, it's always best to ask a question versus make assumptions. You know, for example, I had a guy who got upset because I gave my perspective when the whole point of view was to give a perspective. So I went in on his ass. Looks are deceiving, but I mean, I am a child of light and dark. And they say, well, why are you a child of light and dark? Don't you supposed to be a child of light? That's our problem. We trying to be a child of light in darkness and getting our ass kicked. That's the manipulation when they're showing you many forms of darkness against the light. So a person trying to figure out, or many trying to figure out, why the light have not conquered the darkness, because they have made us think that darkness is wicked. Darkness never been wicked to the point where you're doing it for the good. A lot of people didn't realize darkness could be done for the good. For example, we're gonna use what's coming to my spirit is we're gonna use Little Red Robin Hood, right? So what Little Red Robin Hood did was rob the rich. Why did he rob the rich? Rather it was truth or just a myth, is that because the rich, as you can see today, felt like they needed all the money, the coins, whatever they call it at that particular time, and let the poor or the less fortunate suffer. But the less fortunate and those who actually helped them get their wealth mean nothing to them as of today. How is the poor, which we're not, because everything's abundant, you can have access to anything. So we gonna fix that bullshit there, that projection. If you don't have the same opportunities every day to be as wealthy as possible, then you wouldn't have any options or any access, meaning physically, emotionally, or the vision of your physical eyes to actually obtain it. Now we know people take, we know there's people who take bribes and rub elbows and take shortcuts, but if you pay attention or you have paid attention, we have realized those people and those individuals end up in a situation that they no longer can get out of, as well as be humiliated in the front of many masses of people that looked up to them in a certain way, as that they were better than individual who doesn't or has not had that opportunity or position or role to play. What I'm saying to say is, as I learned as a kid, and I learned this shit early, like this wisdom, I'd have been on this planet multiple times apparently, is that as a kid, when it came down to me taking the time out to look at videos and stuff like that, I realized that I was putting these people before me. And then one day it dawned on me, like, why am I putting celebrities, for example, as they're better than me? And it's the grace of the Most High wisdom that allowed me to understand when you take that celebrity name and you move it out the way, these individual visuals, excuse me, are just as regular as we are. And I'm not saying that we're not magnificent and popular in our own way. See, our problem is we look for other people to validate that, but your presence already validate that, because based on your presence and how you carry yourself and how you move, your energy signature doesn't lie. You don't need no validation outside of yourself. All you need to do is put in that work, and everybody else will see what's meant to be seen. And those who don't want to see it, it wasn't meant for them to see it. But guess what? They looking. Oh, they looking. They may not comment. They may not give you your accolades, your flowers, and so forth, so on. But you should be able to give that shit to yourself, no matter what. And that's what type of power you have, because we wasn't destined to actually get validation from other people. And I'm gonna give this one important reason, which there are many. If the Most High didn't love you, you would never been that piece of semen that made it to the edge. You got to think about it. Out of all of your brothers and sisters fighting for that one egg of your mother's womb, which is billions, you the one that made it. And because you are the one that made it, you already was special. By you coming in this world in a physical form, not understanding and knowing that truth, allowed you to see how people treated you, how people wasn't there for you, how people said things behind your back as well as in your presence, made you feel that you wasn't worthy, you was worthless. But see, here's the thing: the Most High always had the first and the last say so, and that's the power you need to stand in. If you're not standing in it, you need to get with the Most High so you can be in it because that's what you deserve. Now, there's gonna be some doubt. There's gonna be some discouragement because you think this may not be truth. But only way you're gonna find out if it's not truth is actually by doing it. By you doing it, and then if you can reflect and discern the difference between the moment now as you move forward versus this truth, you will see the difference versus just thinking it's just some words and trying to make you feel good for the moment. I'm not here to make you feel good for the moment. I'm here to help you navigate where you at to push you forward because in your life, you know as a fact, no one's pushing you. And I'm trying to teach you how you can push yourself and not rely on other people. You got to think about it. When I get on this platform and people see me talking and so forth, so on, people observing, like, well, let me see how many people subscribing. Let me see how many people like. Now, I started this YouTube channel back in 2007, then I stopped. I just started last year. Look at all the years I've missed. So if people or the naysayers or the haters or the people who like to be in competition low key, or they present it like, yeah, I'm in competition with you. Look what I got, look what you got. I am him. I'm not only talking about it, I'm about it on a day-to-day basis. So if we basing it off some physical shit, then what I would say is this: you gotta go spiritual before you can go physical. And the reason being is this: the spiritual has to happen before the physical happens. It's the same as above as below. And if people, which I won't do it now, because people get very jealous when they see looks are deceiving and truth is truth, they find themselves starting to go do things in a desperate manner. And I don't want nobody to do that to themselves because me doing it on the other platforms that I've been on, these people had to find out the truth and they were very disappointed finding out this truth. This doesn't make me better than them. I'm trying to help them be a better version of themselves. And now that those individuals have finally realized that, most of them want to come back, but they're scared of rejection. And I get it. It's nothing to reject because the rejection wasn't me. It was them rejecting themselves because they didn't want to accept the truth or actually allow themselves to empty that shit that's in the cup that is poison and refill that cup or get a new cup to refill something that's actually going to be current, which is going to be working for them versus, damn, this shit tastes bitter. Let me let somebody sip this and tell me what you think. No, you should already know what's in that cup, if it's good or it's not. But people don't know the difference. And that comes along with the journey. It's no right and wrong. However, not gonna do that to the YouTube individuals. I already know this shit come with a lot of naysayers, a lot of people who disagree or agree, and I know it comes with a lot of drama, and I know it comes with a lot of resentment, prideful people, egotistic. It comes with all that. So when I see these views and people commenting or not commenting, which I'm grateful for those who are genuine. If they ain't genuine, I'm still grateful for their presence. You see what I'm saying? So it's not about subscribers, which subscription is an option where it helps the content, it helps the support, and it moves things forward. The more people are aware, the better the outcome for each individual. Because people have to understand, whether I get on this platform or not, I'm always okay. You got copycats. They feel like, okay, well, let me go. And a lot of these individuals think I don't know them, sending negativity to YouTube, telling them that I'm doing this and that and the third. How come? I mean, in all actuality, I'm not doing anything negatively to harm anyone. I'm just a truth teller. It hurt people's feelings, or it hurt the people that they consider themselves as the hierarchy. Oh no, we can't let him say these things, and we got to keep these people sleeping sheeple and sleep. No, you don't deserve to be asleep unless you want to be. But I'm gonna pray. I'm gonna play my role, and I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna give it beyond 1,000%. If I'm taking one person, want this to be clear and understood, that I could change his or her life or their family life by the Most High giving me the ability to speak these truths, then I did my job. This is not about me having millions of followers because everybody don't have good intentions. And because I understand that, I accept that. In my 7 years of being a streamer, content creator, I learned a lot of lessons that I'm supposed to learn. And I learned one of the important lessons of many of those lessons: don't take things personal. And I had to do that inner work, that hermit mode. And hermit mode just being to yourself. And so you can see and watch the Most High work. Now, a lot of people don't understand your thoughts is the Most High. When something is directing you in a positive outcome or telling you to remove yourself out of situation, that's the Most High and your higher self and your spiritual team all in one, nothing separate, helping you get and navigate to the place that you need to be at. People always talk about conspiracy theories. Conspiracy theories is just a term to make you think that it's not true. But then when you go evaluate all these conspiracy theories, it's showing facts. So that facts is not conspiracy, it's facts. It shows you the evidence. People issue within eternally instead of think for themselves, they let other people think for them. Exactly. You have to. Because if you don't, then you're not able to free yourself from the truth. You see what I'm saying? You're not able to discern what is and what isn't. A lot of people see the truth, but they thinking these people gonna save them. And respectfully, when I say that, they think the Messiah, aka Jesus, which there was never no J's or Y's back in the alphabets when the alphabets was created, is gonna save them. Every day you wake up, either you gonna make something happen or you're not. And Jesus is not. You can say, Jesus, I rebuke you. You can say, Jesus, help me through this, but it's still taking you, your mind, and your body to make shit happen. So that shows you that you're doing it on your own. Now, you may have someone say, well, if it weren't for Jesus helping me, then I wouldn't be able to do the things I'm doing. Jesus not holding your hand, and Jesus not in a physical form either, present. But you may say, well, Jesus in the spirit. No, it's your spirit. Jesus can't take over your spirit. There's nowhere in the scripture that says Jesus can take over your spirit. Some would say, where's the Holy Spirit? It doesn't say Jesus is the Holy Spirit. And if people knew about church, Jesus didn't set foot in no church but one, and he flipped the table over once he seen what they were doing, which they was accumulating money and they was corrupting the church. Every sermon that Jesus did do, he did outside the church. So that let those Bible thumpers know that truth. You won't find nowhere in no scripture that Jesus, especially in the New Testament, was hanging in no church and he was hanging with the people. What he'll tell you is in that Bible, it'll tell you that he was against with the governments, with the Pharisees, they were governments, agents. They was against God's will as the same motherfuckers today is against God's will. The one we call God, G-O-D, which G-O-D doesn't mean that. Generator operation destructor. That's what that God stands for. That's why I say the most high. The most high is the highest of all. But yeah, we here to shake something. People be thinking you need guns and all this crazy stuff. You don't need that. I mean, you can have it, for your extra security, but we wouldn't have the violence and all that if people realize or have not realized that the people who created the guns, who used to overtake many people around the world, what causes violence. They're not taking any accountability. They need to lock their own self up. But no, you're used as a pawn to be demonstrated as it was your fault, as you took time out to create a weapon that's very destructive that would create harm upon self or other people. The same way they hold everybody else accountable is the same way they need to be held accountable. Simple as that. But yeah, politics, I'm not into none of that. That shit don't solve anything. That just to keep people in a different direction so they won't focus on the truth and what they need to get done in their own personal life and their community to come together and fix the things that need to be fixed. But I just wanted to get on here for a time being, you know what I'm saying 30 minutes is long enough. And I hope all is well. Happy fake New Year's because it's not the true New Year's, but just know that April the 1st is the real New Year's. And you also got to remember that the calendar that we go by isn't not or isn't the truth. And that's why things are off. You have to do your homework and due diligence and study so therefore you can get in vertical alignment with the truth. Till then, blessings, Olabade Olugbsean.